Welcome back for another video. I'm Ehabad, a free-to-play endgame player in Raid Shadow Legends. Today we're going to discuss the best rares to build in order to beat all of the secret rooms in Doom Tower. We're going to have a special focus here on the hard side of Doom Tower, where specific champions and gearing is virtually mandatory to be able to complete the content. We're going to start today looking at Skinwalkers and a MVP throughout the game in terms of rare champion control in the form of Nullhorn. He is an absolute godsend for rare spirit and rare HP secret rooms. He's generally just a top tier control champion with this AoE provoke on his A2 with a 3-turn cooldown. The important things here is he places this provoke, there is no hit, so weak hits are not a thing, affinity does not matter. For Nullhorn we would build in a regeneration set in order to self-sustain, and you do not need to worry about masteries. The second champion we're going to look at is in the Barbarian faction, Soulbond Bowyer. Great champion, really useful in many areas of the game, but specifically in Doom Tower secret rooms, she is fantastic for rare spirit and for rare attack. Elsewhere in the game, special bonus for Spider, Fire Knights and Faction War. Here we have an AoE A1, very good, and the extra 25% chance of inflicting a critical hit is throughout her kit, which means you don't need to build a 100% crit rate. In fact, if you're running her as lead, you have a 25 plus 12% aura, meaning you have 37% inbuilt critical rate, so you only need to build 63%. We have a strong nuke on the A2 and TM control on the A3. This is really crucial when doing some of the secret rooms, particularly the rare attack secret room, where having that guaranteed or virtually guaranteed, excluding 3% resist, ability to fully crowd control via full depletion of TM is critical to basically being able to consistently win that room and not have to be too exposed to RNG. In terms of gearing, stun set with Fearsome Presence via Masteries is really powerful for control, or you could go down a pure damage route using Helm Smasher. These are both viable, and Soulbond is definitely a champion where you could build multiple 60s and have multiple builds, basically to be able to run these rooms more quickly. The third champion we're going to look at is a Dark Elf, none other than Coldheart, the MVP of all rares within the game, probably the #1 rare in the game by far, to be honest, like a true endgame champion. Absolute queen of Spider, Fire Knight, amazing for Scarab before you get to Urost, fantastic for Dark Fae, but also for the rare attack secret room, she is top tier. We have a quad hit A1, an AoE A2, and again a full TM control on the A3 with a big nuke built in. She's viable in many sets. You can build her broken in broken sets as long as you're reaching the right stat threshold. Whilst endgame, I prefer having one in reflex and one in stun. For me, I use the reflex one in Fire Knight and Dark Fae and any other areas such as that, including Faction Wars. And then the stun one I typically will use in the secret rooms, and I'll also use the stun one in Faction Wars. The next rare we're going to look at is back in the Barbarians once more, and this time we're going to be looking at Sentinel. Hiding Sentinel, there we go. Now this champion is fantastic for both the rare HP and force HP secret rooms, and with a bonus also great for Magma Dragon if you're struggling to have consistent provoke champions. So on the A1, once booked, we have an 85% chance to provoke as long as the attack is critical, which is extremely high percentage chance. On the A2, we have a small version of AoE decrease attack, and we have a nice passive that keeps Sentinel healed or keeps him topped up. So in terms of gearing, he's viable in a stun set or in regeneration set, depending on where you want to use him. I would generally say the stun set for the secret rooms if you do want to use him in Magma Dragon, I would probably recommend going down the regen set. Due to his A1 provoke, you do need to build him reasonably tanky. He can be a good DPS for the rare HP room, but in the force HP room, the champions, the enemies hit hard, so you do need to build him quite tanky. Again, you don't really need to worry about masteries on Sentinel. They're a nice to have, but not a need to have. Our next champion, we're back in the Dark Elves, and you might ask why I'm alternating between factions, because I've actually ordered these roughly in terms of how important they are for the secret rooms. So I'd say Nullhorn is the most important rare to build for secret rooms, followed by Soul Bond. Cold Heart you've probably built anyway, and therefore is useful. And then Sentinel is probably the next rare I'd focus on building specifically for secret rooms, followed by this particular rare who we're going to come to, which is Painkeeper. Now Painkeeper is mostly used for Bat Eater, however she is amazing for rare HP as well. In fact, with Twins the way it is right now, with multiple block damage compositions using 2 or 3 Painkeepers, building duplicates of Painkeeper has never been more attractive. Suffice to say, we have a cooldown reduction on the A3, which is extremely useful, and we have a nice AoE with inbuilt heal on the A2. She's viable in many sets, but I personally like Toxic. It helps bring some additional damage for that rare secret room. In terms of masteries, Painkeeper doesn't need any to function in the secret rooms, but here are my Bat Eater masteries that I use, and she works perfectly fine in these as well. Now the last rare that we're going to focus on this part of the list, we're back in Skinwalkers once more, and we've got Greybeard. He is the MVP for rare magic secret room. We've got great control via an AoE freeze, although the percentage chance isn't that high, it's still the best form of control we have in that secret room. We have a nice A1 provoke with a good percentage chance, which does help compensate for the inconsistency of the A2. I wouldn't worry so much about the A3, it's not an ability you're going to tend to use very much as you'll be prioritizing A1 and A2. I believe the stun set with Fearsome Presence gives good control overall and fully kind of complements the A1 and A2 that he has. Now, past those champions, and all of those I would look to build to 60. There are a number of champions that are worth investing in and that are perfectly viable at 50. So with this first champion, we're going to go over to the Orcs, and we have, where are you hiding? A Raider. Raider is really good for rare attack and rare spirit. On her A2, we have an AoE decreased speed, although it's not at 100%. It is the large version of decreased speed. 50% chance on an AoE basis is very, very useful. In addition to that, we have a single target stun, which is at 100%, and also brings us a small version of decreased defense. That's really useful in the rare spirit room, as we don't really have any decreased defense there. In the rare attack, having that 100%, again minus the 3% resist possibilities, is extremely useful in maintaining control on each given round. I would say with respect to gearing, stun set with Fearsome Presence would be my preference, but obviously if you're only leveling to 50, you're not going to get all the way. I would try and get Evil Eye and Master Hexer and Sniper, however, to improve the A2. In the long run, I would say she's worthy of a 6-star, and you could build some damage as she has decent multipliers for a rare. Next up, we have a Knight Revenant in Executioner, a great rare for the Magic Secret Room. We, on the A2, have an AoE decreased speed. It is only the small version, but it's a good percentage chance at 75%, and also includes an AoE TM drop. It's a really useful ability to ensure that we maintain control in that secret room, particularly when paired with Greybeard. One of the reasons I would say with Executioner that I'd only really take him to 50 is he's only really useful in one secret room. And that's why I personally haven't yet taken him to 60. I don't think you need any masteries on him, but Sniper, Fearsome Presence, Evil Eye, Master Hexer would all be most beneficial for extra control. Next up, we are once again back in the Skinwalkers, having 3 rares here that are all very viable for secret rooms. We have Fleshmonger, great rare for magic secret room and for rare attack. Also good for faction wars, as brings an AoE decreased defense on the A3. The frustration is it's not 100% chance. It is only 75% chance, and that is quite frustrating for a decreased defense. That said, efficient to invest in, as you can use them in multiple locations, but is very viable at 50 if you don't want to take him to 60. In terms of masteries, none are required, but as with everyone else we've mentioned, the usual candidates, Sniper, Master Hexer, Evil Eye would be most beneficial, and potentially if you wanted to, you could go down a more damage-oriented route and even go down Helm Smasher. Ultimately, the choice is really yours, but for me, get him to 50, use him in those 2 secret rooms, put him in a stun set, and you'll be fine. Next up, we are back in the Barbarians once more for everyone's favourite rare at the start of the game, War Maiden. Great for rare attack and for force attack. We have an AoE basis, 100% chance to drop defense on a 3-turn cooldown, which is unparalleled within the rare community. No other champion can boast such a strength of an ability. Really, you'd only see this in Epic, so very strong for a rare. Again, efficient to invest in due to multiple locations, but equally is viable at 50, so if you don't want to take her to 60, you don't need to. In terms of gearing, probably go for a stun set ideally, particularly if you want to use her in the rare attack room. Whilst in force attack, typically you'll have other means of control or ways of dealing with the waves, so having stun sets in that secret room is less important. Overall, I could say you could take either Fleshmonger or War Maiden to 60, and in the long run you probably will end up doing both, but there's no urgency as both can work perfectly fine as 50s if you want to save those resources. Past that, the rest of the rare champions become a bit more down to personal preference. We have to give shout-outs to the starter champions in Elhain, Aethel and Kael, as they are all perfectly viable DPS units for rare magic and for rare attack. Whilst building additional Cold Hearts, Soul Bonds and Painkeepers are all certainly recommended. Doomscreech is another nice rare for the HP secret room. Diabolist is nice for the rare magic. Berserker has endgame nuker abilities for rare attack and rare spirit. Judge is used by many endgame players for rare magic. Gear Grinder and Rock Beast are both viable for rare HP. Abyssal, Spirit Host, and Hexweaver and Channeler are all viable for rare spirit. And Ironclad is an option for rare HP and force HP, particularly if you're pairing him in the rare HP room with multiple Painkeepers for the healing. So for me, that's going to sum it up. There's, again, quite a lot of information within this video, and I really wanted to focus on those flagship champions, the ones that you should definitely be making sure that you keep copies of and investing in when you have the opportunity to. Just to reiterate, that's Nullhorn, Soulbond Warrior, Coldheart, Sentinel, Painkeeper, and Greybeard. With Raider, Executioner, Fleshmonger, and War Maiden, the next tier of importance. So I definitely urge you to keep copies of all of those champions and look to build them if you want to complete all of the secret rooms in Hard Doom Tower. Hope this video has been helpful. Please like, comment and subscribe. I do try and reply to as many comments as possible and I do read them all. And thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.